All right, fight fans, it is Bueller from Split Decision. Today, joined by a very special guest. Got a fight coming up on Friday, April 6th, happening at Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It happens at the Extreme Action Park, which is just an awesome name. It is Chelsea LaGrasse, and you're going to be taking on Trisha Cicero?
Cicero, yeah.
Damn it, I got it wrong. So, okay, first off, let's talk about you for a minute here. You had a great amateur career. You jumped into the pros. You had your first pro event over in Rizin over in Japan, which is super cool. And now you're having your second pro fight at Titan FC, again, on April 6th against Trisha. So what's your background here?
So I've been training with mixed martial arts for like 2.5 years now.
Okay.
Actually never was involved in anything like it before I started training. I went because I wanted to learn some self-defense to take care of me and my daughter, and I've just been hooked on it ever since then.
I hear that a lot. You know, people just kind of want to check it out for some self-defense, and the next thing they know, they're punching people in the face for a paycheck, and it's awesome.
Right. Exactly. I just happen to really like punching people and choke them out, I guess. So.
Yeah, I can completely understand that. It's an awesome feeling. You know what's worse, though, is getting punched in the face is not fun.
Not usually, not so much, but it's the name of the game.
So you went to the Classic. How'd you do there?
I had a blast at the Classic. I had the opportunity to do a charity boxing event, which was fun. And then I did the jiu-jitsu tournament at the Arnold, which I did the gi and the no gi. And I had 4 matches that day, and I won them all. So, yeah, it was an awesome experience.
So you're almost like a duck to water here. Only 2.5 years, and you're doing fairly well for yourself, would you say?
Yeah, I would say so. You know, I never really expected it to go this far and to have the opportunities that I've had, but I'm just enjoying the ride.
And 2.5 years, I got to ask you, what belt have you gotten so far in jiu-jitsu?
So I don't do a lot of training with the gi, so I'm technically still a white belt.
Oh, okay, I see. I understand.
I've been focusing a lot more on the, just the striking and the MMA and that sort of thing. I think, if I slow down with the MMA someday, I'll focus more on ranking up in the belt system, but it's just not a priority right now.
Yeah, and there's people that want to know the belt system. I'm a big fan of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as a whole. My kids do it. But people who train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specifically for MMA or grappling specifically for MMA, it's not uncommon for them to not sweat the belt system because they want to get the fundamentals down.
Right.
For being in the cage, which there's a huge difference, which you could probably attest to. There's a huge difference between jiu-jitsu for jiu-jitsu and jiu-jitsu for MMA.
Oh, absolutely. It's totally different game. Some of the techniques that they teach you in, strictly Brazilian jiu-jitsu just would not work in MMA. So, yeah, it's definitely a little bit different.
Yeah, it's a little different trying to slip in an armbar when somebody's trying to punch you in the face.
Yeah, that adds a whole new dynamic to it.
So when you fought over in Rizin, how was that experience as a whole? I mean, you had fought at RFO a couple times before that, so this was your first pro event. So obviously there's a huge difference there, but not just that, but you're fighting in Rizin. How crazy was that?
It was crazy. I mean, it was just a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and it was awesome working with Rizin. They are, a very professional promotion company, and they were very welcoming and friendly to me. And the Japanese fans are just so respectful and so friendly. They love to talk to you and take pictures with you. And just the whole experience was just crazy and new and awesome for me. I loved every second of it.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool experience for your first pro fight. Now, Gabby Garcia recently did an interview about her experience with Rizin, and she was contractually obligated to not disclose a lot of information. Do you have any of those restrictions on you?
I don't have any restrictions as far as I know. I think Gabby might have maybe a multiple fight deals with them, but that was just a one fight deal with me, so I don't have any contracts or anything with Rizin at the time.
So is there anything like different behind the scenes that you can talk to us about? I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Rizin as a fight company, but they do put on a few fights a year that kind of seem that they're more for show than for actual rankings, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Did you witness any of that?
One of the big things that I noticed was different in the rules meeting was when the CEO, Nobuko, was talking, he made a point to say that, we don't care about the outcome of the fights, who wins or loses. We care about the show and the entertainment. So they're definitely about the show and the entertainment and, making people enjoy what they're watching, not necessarily about who wins and who loses.
And I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at without trying to throw around any crazy accusations. So I'm not going to. I'm just saying a couple of the matches that I've seen in Rizin have obviously been way more for entertainment than for outcome, obviously.
Right. Definitely.
And what about, this is just an ongoing joke with us, do they pay you in a suitcase full of money?
They did not. No, I did not get a suitcase full of money. That would have been nice.
Darn, I was hoping. So now you're going to be heading...
Honestly, background behind the scenes, it was a different experience for me because it was from the amateur to the pro level. So it was just a lot different, a lot more organized and professional and smooth. And, I had my own locker room versus just, being pushed into an empty corner somewhere to warm up. It was definitely different.
Oh, I can only imagine. I mean, I've been to a lot of the amateur events, and while they're fun to go to, if you're actually fighting in them or you're working with a fighter in them, it's almost a nightmare because you're all huddled in one spot. Sometimes you're right next to your opponent,
Right. Sometimes you might be in the same room with your opponent right before you go out to fight. So, yeah.
Which is a wild experience. Now, you mentioned earlier that you have a daughter. So what do you do when you're not training for a fight or actually fighting? What is the other part of your life like?
So I work at the YMCA as the fitness director, so that takes up
a
decent amount of my time, which I really love that job. I've worked with the Y for almost 10 years, so I love it. And then, I have a 6-year-old daughter that I raised by myself, so we spend a lot of time together when she's not in school and when I'm not training. We like to go outside and play and, just do whatever different activities together. I love to hike and camp and rock climb and all that stuff. So anything adventurous or adrenaline, I'll do it.
It's kind of nice to have a job that actually helps keep you in shape because that's also a struggle for a lot of coming up fighters who have to have a full-time job. They might not have a job where they can keep themselves in shape, where they sit at a desk all day.
Yeah, it's actually pretty beneficial for me because, I teach a yoga class a few times a week, so I get my yoga workout while I'm teaching, and, I'm constantly helping people improve their lives by personal training and exercising and nutrition. So it's also motivating and inspiring for me too.
And that's super cool. Now, with your daughter, does she do any training at this point in time?
So I've gotten her to do some karate a little bit, and I think I'm going to get her a gi to start doing some jiu-jitsu. I actually bought her some little boxing gloves for Christmas this past Christmas, and I have her do some stuff on the bag sometimes. Nice.
Does she get to watch mom fight?
She hasn't been to any of my actual fights. She does come to all my practices with me, so she sees that. But fight day, I just need to focus, and her being there is a distraction.
I can understand that. As a parent, I totally get that. So coming up here on April 6th, you're going to be fighting at what, 115?
125. Actually.
Oh, 125. I got your weight listed at 117 up here on the site that I'm looking at.
That's actually what I weighed in at my last fight, even though that fight was supposed to be at 25. All my fights have been at 25. I think in the future, I'm looking to go down to 115.
Oh, well, at least you don't have to cut, right?
Yeah, definitely. I don't have to worry about that.
So do you just eat whatever you want leading up to the fight?
No, I mean, I eat fairly healthy, most of the time anyway.
Okay.
But I definitely don't have to adhere to anything strict or anything like that. I don't have to restrict myself.
Nice. That's got to be enjoyable. So coming up here on
One
April.
Less stress.
Yeah, exactly. April 6th, it's Titan FC. Your opponent this time, what's going to be different going in here?
So she is a lot shorter than my last opponent, so the game plan's definitely different. I'm not at quite a height disadvantage. So, I'd like to stand up and see how the striking game goes because most of my fights have gone to the ground. So I'd like to stay standing for most of this fight and just have fun with that.
And you got a decent sprawl to keep her off you?
Yeah. I've been working on wrestling and jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai and all that stuff. So I'm prepared for whatever.
Very cool. Again, it's going down April 6th. It is Titan FC 49. It's happening in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And I love the name of the place, Extreme Action Park. The cool thing about this is if obviously you're not in the area where you can go get tickets, you can catch this live on UFC Fight Pass, which is got to be a pretty cool thing for you as well, right?
Yeah, it's super exciting that it's going to be on the Fight Pass, and it'll be good exposure for me, definitely.
Right on. Well, hey, thank you for being on the show today. And, of course, best of luck to you on April 6th.
Thank you so much for having me.